Hello one and all, it's Phil, aka Philadoxical, and I'm back. I'm excited to have you join me for today's video where we'll be reviewing Evil Genius 2. Before we start, I want to let you know that I received a code for Evil Genius 2 from Rebellion as part of their creator program via Lurkit. However, I assure you that my review will be honest and not influenced by Rebellion. It will be based on my experience and the many hours I have spent playing the game. I will only take up a little bit of your time, so let's get started and dive into Evil Genius 2 without further ado. Both developed and published by Rebellion Developments, Evil Genius 2 World Domination, to give it its full title, is a real-time strategy and crime simulation game that was initially released on PC in March 2021 and then on consoles in November of the same year. Following on from the original Evil Genius game, which was released in 2004, Evil Genius 2 sees you creating your own world-class criminal empire. Taking over a private island and using a fully functional casino as your cover operation, you must develop a thriving criminal network and work towards your goal of developing and deploying a fully functional doomsday weapon that will see you become the world's sole ruler. Unfortunately for every fabulously devious criminal mastermind, there are pesky do-gooder types that wish to see your grand vision fail, and you either locked up behind bars or 6 feet under, depending on who you annoy the most, so it won't all be smooth sailing. You will have to fight for your dream to become a reality. Whether it's the pesky do-gooders, rival villains, or miscellaneous disgruntled factions, you must ensure that your iron fist is strong and all that would rise up against you are smitten so hard that their future generations will feel your wrath. Luckily, Rebellion considered gamers' nefarious needs and ensured that there would be a selection of delectable, devilish evil geniuses to choose from. Whether you want to be a criminal mastermind heavily influenced by Austin Powers' Mini-Me, a scientific mind pushing some very questionable boundaries, an ex-spy master, or an outright warmonger, there's an evil genius for you. With 4 prominent evil geniuses, each comes with their own strengths and weaknesses. Whether you want to boost your gold production like Maximilian von Klein, or enhance the stats of your security forces like Red Ivan, the choice of how you want to play is yours. Before we go into the DLCs in more depth later on, there is also a 5th DLC-enabled evil genius called Polar, an ecological mastermind that brings a whole new meaning to the term brain freeze. As with all grand visions of diabolical brilliance, for every evil genius trying to change the world, there are those who simply refuse to move with the times. Some who believe that experimenting on tourists and stealing Dodos should be stopped. Enter the forces of justice, comprised of Anvil, Hammer, Patriot, Saber, and Smash. The forces of justice are just one of the many thorns in your side. Bringing together the best and the brightest, they are the oil to your water, the positive to your negative, the foil to your microwave. Specializing in espionage, brute force, and cyber warfare, each faction will send a unique selection of units, and if you are unfortunate enough, even a super agent, to try and stop your schemes. Whether they are closing down your operations on the world stage or assaulting your obviously not so top secret lair, you will frequently have to outmaneuver, manipulate, and repel these gooders. On a day-to-day basis, the forces of justice are mere mice to be made to run through your Aperture science creations. However, when super agents are deployed, these are mini-bosses with special attacks, special abilities, and considerably buffed stats that will require a small army to defeat. It's tough to be the top dog, and you'll learn that very on in Evil Genius 2. No matter who you rob, which political leader you try to assassinate, or which world-renowned singing competition you rig to your benefit, someone will always take offense. It's just how sore losers are. In addition to the forces of justice, you'll have to fight rival criminal masterminds, who you can then recruit as henchmen after grinding them into the dirt beneath your heel. Disgruntled scientists who believe you have cheated in a prestigious science competition, and even tax collectors who intend to claim backdated taxes you have neglected to pay. Keep your head in a swivel around in the chamber and be prepared for anything. Even the delivery driver could be out to get you. Oh, let me tell you about the delightful toys and semi-competent minions you will have to help to see your dreams come true. Whether you want to feed people to a shark, watch them dance atop your laser disco trap of death, or be beaten to a bloody pulp by your security forces, before being dragged off to a cell to contemplate how their life choices have gone, Evil Genius 2 has you covered, with a huge array of researchable traps that you can place around your lair to help you protect it, prison cells to store your captured enemies, mind control devices, or straight up interrogation techniques. There are many ways to dispatch your enemies. And if that all seems over the top, and how could it, you can recruit various specialists, from simple guards to martial artists and even highly specialized henchmen who will have unique special abilities and increased stats equal to many a super agent, allowing them to throw down one-on-one with your fiercest opponents. Each is equipable with various weapons from stun batons and tasers to submachine guns and heavy combat poles, depending on your personal preference for how you want to engage your enemies. In addition to the base game security forces, the DLC allows you to create robotic guard units, sentry turrets, and even recycle cumbersome body bags into scientific monstrosities that will roam your halls and feast upon the brains of living intruders. As a great uncle once said, with great power comes a duty to use it to suppress those that would stand in your way of world domination. In Evil Genius 2, gold is your key to acquiring the tools needed to bring the world to its knees. Whether it's mined from the depths of your island lair or earned through missions on the world stage, gold is your lifeline in this game of world domination. The world stage, a vast digital representation of the Earth, is your strategic playground. Here you can dispatch your minions to establish additional outposts, each generating a steady income. But the real game changer is using these outposts as staging grounds for your global operations. From robbing banks to carrying out social media scams, the rewards can be immense. From receiving a few $1,000s worth of gold to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Extra personnel, advanced technologies, and long-lost treasures with unique properties your minions can use. These treasures include, but are not limited to, the famous Sword in the Stone, a dodo that teaches university-level science, and Dr. Jekyll's potion station. As you progress through the story's campaign, you will also learn how to generate a resource called Intel, which can be exchanged for short missions with a heavy reward. But be careful, as no matter what activity you are performing, the forces of justice are always watching, and the more active you are in an area, the more heat you build. The forces of justice observe your activities and generate heat. If the heat level is high enough, they will assault your lair or temporarily shut down your outpost. Using a very straightforward multi-tiered research tree, you can research ways to improve your global operations, lair, minions, traps, and world domination. The World Domination research tree is specifically used to advance special missions in the primary campaign. Except for the World Domination tree, which shows research projects as and when they are required for specific objectives, the other four have 4 development tiers, with each new tier unlocked, increasing the cost and research time of your projects, but for substantially more beneficial rewards. Using a selection of specific minion types, equipment, and gold, which are all detailed before selecting the project you wish to research, your minions will automatically carry out research projects for you, with many only taking moments to research. If your science department is dragging its feet and taking too long though, you have a variety of ways to increase their productivity, from executing a minion in front of the others to set an example, to using your genius's productivity ability, which will boost all minions within a small area for as long as the genius's morale holds out. One of the main benefits, apart from new technologies, is that when researching the global operations skill tree, you gain passive abilities to help reduce heat buildup in the areas you are operating in. You can upgrade your outposts to increase their basic income, and you can also go outside the box and research ways to bounce radio signals off of pigeons to help improve your communication network. Improving your world operations will make it significantly easier to run everything else. Thanks to the Portal Pack DLC, Aperture Science allows you to build a laboratory using Aperture schematics where you are encouraged to indulge in your darker side, testing traps and weapons on willing test subjects. I say willing, but to acquire them, they require kidnapping, so it's a bit of a grey area. If you succeed in all of the experiments, you will gain access to all the equipment you have used. If not, it's simply removed. However, one of the most cherished rewards from the Portal Pack is the actual cake item. Although you can unlock an exploding trap called The Cake is a Lie, impress the Aperture panel enough and you can take home an actual cake to display proudly in your office, and it won't even try to kill you. Evil Genius 2 is available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Evil Genius 2's primary campaign can be beaten in around 25 to 30 hours. However, to complete all of the achievements and side quests, if you are a completionist, you're probably looking at double that, around the 50-hour mark. There are currently 8 DLCs available for Evil Genius 2. Among these, the Team Fortress 2 Pyro Pack and Portal Pack stand out as they are available for free to all players on all platforms. These packs bring exciting new content to the game, enhancing your gaming experience. For your convenience, the remaining 6 DLCs can be easily acquired either separately or as part of the Season Pass, catering to your individual gaming preferences. Currently, the Season Pass on Steam costs around £20.99, and it will cost you £22.49 on the Xbox store, saving you a few pounds compared to buying everything separately. As mentioned previously, the DLCs allow you to introduce a new genius to your starting geniuses, as well as new units and cosmetic items to bolster the base game selection. One thing I want to mention about the Ingenious DLC pack is that there are a few great additions to equipment that are not really that well advertised. For example, you get an inescapable holding cell, a security checkpoint, and increased disguise detectability, the ability to place a security point that your basic workers can use, and some great training items for your scientists and security forces to help boost their stats. Having played over 90 hours in total today, I have found Evil Genius 2 to run very smoothly with minimal to no issues on the Xbox Series X or S. But on the PC, although the game starts out well when you have a smaller lair, it really seems to have a variety of issues as you increase the size of your lair. Many bugs you may get are purely visual, with effects stop displaying or markers that showed up previously also stop displaying correctly. For the most part, these can be resolved by reloading the game, and as I mentioned, only increased in occurrence as I expanded out into the second and third floors of my lair. This is more of a game issue than a hardware issue, as I am able to run games like Vermintide and Darktide flawlessly on high presets. When researching the issues on Google, I found quite a few articles and reviews from other gamers relating to them too. It is also worth mentioning that Evil Genius 2 currently has a mixed overall review on Steam, with 10,001 reviews available. A few of these mention that the game has crashed frequently on them, requiring it to be uninstalled and reinstalled to be functional again. Although I've not had any crashes on PC or Xbox, you should definitely check out the PC specifications to ensure that you can run the game. The game's graphics and cutscenes look great whether you're on a console or PC, with the PC obviously offering a lot more customization options. The footage in this video is a mix of footage taken from the Xbox Series S, X and PC using the Ultra settings and DX12 on PC. As a comparison, Evil Genius 2 easily stands up to games like The Sims and Chaos Gate, with its bright, colourful and cartoony style really helping it pop and the details shine. Speaking of details, as you zoom in close, you can pick out the many details and little touches that reflect the love and care that the development team have put into their game. One thing I found quite funny is that if you zoom out quite a bit too, birds will fly across your screen, which is a nice touch to show just how far you've zoomed out. And the idle animations are also great. If your genius is stood about, they will often find ways to busy themselves by interacting with items, giving speeches, or just stood there clicking their fingers. Minions will often hold conversations with other minions, and where available, should you have enhancement equipment for improving skills, the different minion types will often use these to boost their vitality, smarts and combat prowess, all of which you can watch them doing. The voice lines are delivered in a crisp, clear and studio-like manner, which really adds to the immersion. For hearing impaired gamers who lip read though, I suggest that you don't rely on lip reading during the cutscenes as it does not sync. The in-game text will be more beneficial and definitely cause a lot less confusion. When it comes to the backing music, Evil Genius's tracks are very easy to listen to and have a nice balance with everything else, allowing you to easily identify shoutouts, notifications and alarms. Having tried Evil Genius with an Xbox controller, mouse, keyboard and PlayStation controller via Bluetooth from my PC, I would have to say that the game can be quite fiddly when first getting used to it on the controller, both for the Xbox and PlayStation. But if you stick with it within an hour or so, you'll be gliding through menus, rotating the camera and navigating corridors like a natural. I thought this was worth mentioning, having spoken to several people and reading through a variety of reviews, as the layout of the controls and responsiveness to controllers are often cited as negative factors, but I honestly believe it may be down to the user's personal preference. Having spoken to a friend who also uses an Xbox adaptive controller, when they have played the game, Evil Genius 2 has full controller functionality and will work with the adaptive controller easily. Of the 10 hours they have played, they've had no issues at all. When it comes to the mouse and keyboard, I found the game to be very intuitive and easy to control from the start. The menus were easy to navigate and easy to interact with. Definitely my go-to option for controlling the game. Although the game is, for the most part, highly addictive and great fun, it does unfortunately have a few issues that have popped up quite regularly while I've been playing. More so on the PC version than the Xbox version of the two versions that I've tried. First up, we have a very obvious oversight. As you delve into Evil Genius 2, you'll find yourself constantly under siege from the forces of justice, your own minions as they attempt to defect, traitorous scum, and various other factions, adding a layer of thrilling challenge to the gameplay. When the heat is on, missiles are flying and grenades are going off all around you, your lair and equipment will understandably take a heavy battering. Although they can be repaired or replaced, there is no automatic option to do so globally. For instance, in the midst of a brawl in your casino, if a bank of slot machines is obliterated, you'll need to painstakingly replace each one manually. You can set each item to be automatically replaced in the future, but there's no single switch, not even in the game's options, to have all items automatically repaired or replaced, and this can be quite frustrating. You need to set the option manually for every single item, and when you start to expand your lair to multiple levels, this can be hundreds if not thousands of items, and to say it is time consuming is a huge understatement. Next up is quite a frequent issue I have had when expanding my lair to a second level or beyond. When placing an item, you'll typically have a placement guide to show you which way the item is facing and what its accessible points are. These are indicated by little green feet around the base of the item. However, intermittently, these guides will disappear and require you to reload the game so that they can display again correctly. My third issue, which I believe is related in some part to the second point, is during larger fights and mass construction orders, the game will intermittently stop displaying effects. For example, fully functional holding cells will no longer display their laser bars. Fires in your base will no longer display as a fire, but you'll still receive alerts and your equipment will still be destroyed. And last but not least, when using some of your henchmen's abilities, their area of effect markers, which assist you in working out which enemies will be caught in the area of effect, will not show up. Again, like the second point, this can often be easily resolved by reloading the game. In addition to the above, much of the main campaign dialogue is identical no matter which genius you select. Although this does not really have a significant impact on your playthrough, as all the information required to progress is relayed in a very detailed way, it does seem a shame that the campaigns were not more tailored to each specific evil genius, as it can feel very samey and a bit dull when you're doing multiple playthroughs with the different evil geniuses. Evil Genius 2 is a fun, immersive and detailed game that can be played at your own pace and in your own way. This allows you to tailor and customize many aspects exactly how you want them. Whether it be a mammoth playthrough over the weekend, a quick 5 minutes between studying breaks, or just indulging in your inner evil genius, there's something for everyone. An added benefit is that if you own the game on Xbox or PC via the Microsoft Store, you can also play it on the other platform, with all the DLCs and your progress being cross-transferable between the two too. Personally, this has been a fantastic find and hugely beneficial while reviewing the game. With the exception of Dungeon Keeper, you're rarely allowed to play a real-time strategy simulation where you're supposedly the bad guy and able to flex those insidious biceps, meaning Evil Genius 2 is not only your potential next big addiction, if you're still watching the video now, but a breath of fresh air for all gamers who want to rise up and say enough is enough. Enough rainbows, flowers and hearts. Stand up to the sheeple, give me napalm infernos, magic carpet thefts, and prisoners running through trapped labyrinths for your own amusement. Although Evil Genius 2 is not perfect and it has its warts, they are greatly outweighed by its playability, replayability and creative aspects. If you start to play, there's a very high likelihood you'll love it, warts and all. Before we part ways, thank you for the time you've invested in watching this video. Your time is appreciated. I may though have overlooked some aspects that are of particular interest to you. If you have any questions or if there's something I didn't cover about the game in the video that you'd like to know about, please feel free to ask in the comments. Any feedback and constructive criticism is important, and I'll do my best to help the curious wherever I can. As a final thought, whether you have gotten a positive, negative or mixed impression about the game from the video, everyone likes different things about different games. The best thing I could possibly do is encourage you to go out and try the game for yourself and get a first-hand experience with it. For now though, I'm going to disappear, and no matter what you do, have a fantastic time gaming. Bye!